Hiya, welcome back. This is the second part of this RHINO 8 kind of pavilion structure tutorial. We're going to pick up where we left off. So we've dealt with the paneling tools aspect. Now we'll move on to more kind of standard RHINO fare. So there won't be any more plugins required for the rest of this. So we'll need the set out layer back on, and we'll make the beams layer current. Okay, and we're going to hide the curve attractor, the grids, the panels, glass, and the bounding box. So we're just back to our set out information. Okay. Now, to do the beams, you might think, well, let's use tweening between these. So that's one potential. So if we tween curves between these two, okay, and let's say we need 10 more. Okay, so they should line up with the grid now. Let me just have a look on top. Oh, I can't count. So what have they done? I need 11. Okay, let's just quickly undo that. Let's tween again. Start curve, end curve, number 11. Oh, it's 9. It's the other way around, sorry. Let's just undo that again. It's 9 in the middle, isn't it, that we need? So let's just... Okay, it's number 9. That's better. We're bang on grid now. Okay, well, let's have a wee look at that. I'm going to make these. I'm going to put these onto the set out layer temporarily, just so they're a bit stronger colour, and put the surface back on. And already you can see something's not quite right. We're seeing a lot of the black curve here. We lose it there. It's a bit haphazard here, and if we look underneath, we're seeing too much of the curve there. And when we look down the edge of the roof, we're definitely seeing the curve isn't fitting the surface. So we couldn't really use those for making the beams. So tween's nice and easy, but unfortunately it's not matching the surface profile. Okay, so instead we'll draw just a single line, and then we'll array it along here. So single line. Okay, I don't need O snaps just now, but I do need the grid snap. So let's put that there, and then array. Okay, pick this, the curve, the pink curve, enter. Number in the X direction, this is where the 11 was, this is where I was getting confused. So 11 here. Number in the Y direction, just 1, so press enter. Number in the Z direction, 1, just press enter. Okay, X spacing will be 1 unit. Enter to stop. Okay, so we've got all our beams there. Okay, now we don't need to see the set out now, but we do need to see the surface. And let's go to just see through. So what we're going to do is project these onto the underside of the surface. So project. These are the items to project, so we grab those first. Make sure I get all of them. Okay, enter. Select the surface to project onto. The direction is here. You can see it's C-plane Z, so it's going to go upwards or downwards. Pick that and enter. And we've got curves that are absolutely perfect to the surface now. So they're going to work much better. So we don't need to see the surface. Okay. We won't be needing these again, so we can delete those. Okay. Now, I mentioned in the intro video that the beams are going to be as if they're bent, so they would be everywhere you were perpendicular to the surface, to the edge, you get the same depth of beam. Okay, so it's not an extrusion. You get kind of different thicknesses if you do that when you go down through the beam. So offset is a truer kind of shape. But the problem is when you offset something that's pointing up like this, the curve below is going to be slightly longer. Okay, when they're going downwards like they are at the end here, when it's going downwards and you offset it, the curve below is shorter. Okay, so we need a little bit of extra on these to start off with. Okay, otherwise we could end up with gaps against the main beams at the flanks. So if we look at this in the right hand view, looks quite elegant, doesn't it? It's quite nice. What we're going to do is extend these, not much, just enough so that we can chop them all off squarely. Okay, so we're going to extend them, then offset them, and then trim them. Okay, so the extending takes a few seconds because there's quite a few beams here. You know, there's 22 extensions to do, so you don't need to watch all of these. I'll do a couple and then I'll pause the video. Okay, so the command is extend, enter. Now what you're looking at for here is we want to do the dynamic extend, so you just press enter again. Okay, pick the curve and it just lets you drag it out. Okay, so enter 3 times and we can extend the next one. Enter 3 times. I lost count there, right? Enter again, pick, extend. Okay, so I'll pause the video there and just extend all these using that method and then we'll come back. Okay, only 2 to do, so extend and extend. Okay, now before we do the trimming we need to offset them. Okay, so let's have a look. We can get away with doing this in the perspective view, so let's give ourselves a little bit of steepness so we can see all the curves. Okay, so it's offset, it's the regular offset. Okay, the distance will be 0.3 meters, so 300 millimeters thick. Okay, let's maybe start at the back. Okay, well look, it's trying to curve the ends here. I don't want that to happen. Okay, so I've got cap round on. I'm going to have to tweak this just to make sure. Okay, let's just start that again. I don't want cap round. Didn't notice that was on. Okay, we want none. And we're not going to have any corners, but I'm just going to make this sharp anyway. Okay, let's try again. Okay, that's better. Okay, so they're going downwards. May not look like it, but they are. Okay, if you just kind of come round, you can see that they are going downwards. So we just offset all of them downwards. Okay, just 2 more to do. Okay, now what we want to do is trim these off, and if we go to the right hand view, okay, so all we need is just a line vertically at the grid positions. So a single line from grid to grid will do. Now we're not going to take into account the thickness of the beams that are running up and down here. Okay, we'll just lop these off. These will end up with a kind of a collision inside the beam, but it's better than having gaps. Okay, so trim should be pretty quick. So these are our cutters, these 2. Enter, and then you can use crossing windows again to do the trimming, so that's nice and quick. Okay, these have done their job. They can be now deleted. Okay, and now it's lofting. Okay, you can't do multiple lofts either. We've got to do each one. So LOFT, enter. We could have this shaded so at least we can see which ones we've done then. Okay, so curves to loft, this one to this one, enter. I would rebuild these. You're not gonna. It's not such a big model that you couldn't handle this. So have them rebuilt. Okay, it will possibly help things when we do offset surfaces and the like. So okay, oops, I've got my command now. Pick 1, 2, 3. Pick 1, 2, 3. Pick. Last one. Okay, now there's quite a lot of curves in there that we aren't really going to need again. So, you know, a good thing to use is cell CRV. So only the curves that are visible will be selected. Okay, and then you can just delete those. Just gets rid of a bit of clutter as we go. The next job can be done from above, and it will allow multiple objects to be worked on. So this is offset SRF, offset surface. Okay, so you see here it says select surfaces. Some commands like offset only let you pick one object at a time. Okay, so select the surfaces, enter. Okay, they're all consistently facing the same direction, which is, it's not a problem if they weren't, because we're going to do both sides. So both sides, yes. Delete input, yes, that's fine. Solid, yes. Corners sharp. Distance, okay. I want the tops of these, we'll call these kind of rafters, these are smaller beams. I want the tops to be 80 millimeters wide, so the offset will be 0.04, so it's 40 millimeters either way. Enter, enter to finish. Okay, so we've got solid beams that are kind of consistent depth, but they've been plumb cut at the end because we trimmed off the end of the curves. Okay, so that's the beams in that direction. We've now got the beams in the other direction. So let's bring set out back on, make set out current, and we'll hide these beams just now. Okay, so what we need is a line from endpoint to endpoint and from endpoint to endpoint. Okay, so I'll get the line command, and I'm going to start here, but I need my object snaps and I need endpoint. So let's start there, and we're going up to here. Okay, this is the highest point, so I'm just going to pick it in this view, in the front view. Enter to stop. Okay, start another line, endpoint here, and the endpoint is roughly here this time. Okay, so both the beams are straight and they happen to be the same pitch, which is just coincidental. You know, the previous model had them meeting or appearing to meet at this point. Okay, now we need to kind of do the same as we did with the previous ones. We need to extend these a bit, because when we give them some thickness, they're going to be, we want them to be kind of true. So we'll not plumb cut the ends of these. We'll kind of just extend this one, then offset, and we'll leave them as they are then. Okay, so let's keep the front view. So we want to extend. Okay, and shouldn't have picked it, should I? Extend, enter again. Just drag it through. Do the same with this one. Keep clicking too early. Okay, just drag them through. Okay, now we need something to trim these off with. Now I want them to be 150 millimeters beyond the end of the the last beam. Okay, so I'm going to use a regular line segment with grid snap on this time. Okay, just make it high enough. Okay, same here. Offset these out the way by 150 millimeters. So offset, distance, set the distance 0.15. Okay, so take this to this side and press enter. Take this one to this side. Okay, use those two new lines to trim off the ends of the diagonals. So trim, cutter, cutter, enter, chop, 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 chop. Okay, these have done their jobs. They can go. And these are now going to get offset by 450. So offset 0.45. So they're a bit deeper than the rafters. Okay, we've got to keep our eye carefully on these because they're pretty close to each other. Okay. Okay, so when we look at this in 3D, it'll be easy to understand because they're just a bit too close to each other in that view. So let's jump to this one so we don't get confused. Okay, all looking good. So we'll loft these now, just as we did before. So loft, enter, rebuild as well. Even though it's very simple shape, this one, there's no bends in it, I'm just going to still let it rebuild. Okay, I think this version, I think my settings here are not showing ISO lines. Don't think that can be changed here. Maybe it can. Display ISO lines. Maybe not. It's somewhere. I've got ISO lines basically switched off. I'll just see if there's a command for that. ISO line. No, it'd be buried in the preferences, you know, in the document setup. Okay. Just let me pause. I'm just going to research that just for a second because it is better to kind of. I'll need to come back and research that again because it's in the shaded setup for the display modes. It's saying that ISO curves will show, but they're certainly not. When you go to shaded, they disappear. But anyway, so we'd lofted that, and then we want to offset both of these to give them solidity. So offset SRF. Okay, we can take both of them at the same time. Enter. Okay, both sides, yes, that's fine. Delete input, yes, that's good. The distance, want this a wee bit bigger now, so they're visually a bit chunkier than the other ones. So if we go 0.075, the previous ones were 0.04. So if we do 0.075, that'll give us 150 millimeters on the top. So 0.075. Okay, enter again. There we go. Okay, I don't want to select curve here, but we could do it but then take away the other ones. We'll actually put these onto, just chuck both of these onto the beams layer, and that solves that problem. So if we put them onto beams, we can then get to these easy enough and delete those two. I'll keep these just for reference if something goes wrong. Okay, so that should be the beam structure. Okay, we've got a little bit of a projection here. As I said, these are going kind of half into the depth of that. So we've got a little protrusion on the top, but they're flat on the top. Okay, and then we've got consistent thickness for each set. Okay, next job is the roof edge, and I think we'll stop this video here so we can do the roof edge and the final bits in part 3. Okay, see you in a wee while.